Hi, today we are going to discuss about a topic which is related to both physics and chemistry. But today we are going to discuss that topic in relation with physics. So before going to topic, let us know some examples which is related to this. The first one is, imagine that we are experiencing by presence in a small crowded room where there are a lot of people. So after sometimes we will feel very warm and start sweating. Sweating is a process where our body wants to cool itself. So heat is transferred from our body to the sweat, where heat is transferred from one form to other. As sweat absorbs more and more heat, it evaporates from our body and transfer it to the surrounding atmosphere. Then that surrounding atmosphere becomes warm and that the temperature of the room increases, which becomes higher when compared to earlier. So here you can observe no heat loss take place and heat is converted from one form to other. And another example is, you have to keep an water bottle which is filled up of ice outside the refrigerator for an hour. After 1 hour, you can see the water droplets present on the outer surface of a bottle. Why this happens so? There is a reason that the temperature of water bottle is less than the temperature of dew point temperature of air. Then the water vapor begins to condense. So the water droplets occupy space on water bottle. Here you observe dew point temperature is nothing but the temperature at which the vapor starts condensing into a liquid form. So that when the temperature of water bottle is less than the dew point temperature, the water vapors of surrounding a water bottle starts to condense and forms an water droplets which occupies on the water bottle. Hence we see the water droplets on the surface of bottle after an hour. So you can observe these two examples. There is similarity in between these two examples where the physical state changes. In first example we can see the liquid is converted into a vapor, and in next example we can see vapor is converted into a liquid. So today we are going to discuss about a topic called thermodynamics. These two examples are under the laws of thermodynamics. Here first and second laws of thermodynamics are applicable, where no heat is lost and the heat is converted from one form to other. So originally, what is meant by thermodynamics? Thermodynamics is nothing but the study of changes in energy associated with physical and chemical reaction. So the thermodynamics is derived from Greek, which means the thermo gives or refers to heat, and dynamics refers to a branch of physics which is concerned with the motion of material objects, which is related to the physical factors that affect them, such as force, momentum, energy and mass. So we know that all the motor vehicles such as car, train, aeroplanes, bikes are run on the laws and principles of thermodynamics. So we consider an example as car. We have to fill a diesel engine. Diesel, we have to know that the car contains a diesel engine where the chemical energy is converted into an mechanical work, where the diesel is in the form of chemical energy, and using this diesel we can run the car. So that chemical energy is converted into a mechanical energy. Here the diesel engine is act as a heat engine. So today we are going to learn about an heat engine, where heat engine is a device which converts heat energy into a mechanical work. So we know that heat engine is not 100% efficient. It has some loss of heat. So in 1822, a French engineer, Nicolas Leonard Sadi Carnot, suggested an idea of an ideal heat engine which is free from all imperfections which are done in practical. So in 1824, he designed an engine which has highest efficiency when compared to all the heat engines, and it named as Carnot engine on behalf of the inventor of an engine. So the name Carnot comes, and it is also called as ideal heat engine, where ideal is referred to be that the engine is having highest efficiency when compared to all heat engines, so that it becomes an example. So it named as ideal heat engine. So today we have to know about the engineer Nicolas Leonard Sadi Carnot and his engine, Carnot engine. So he is a person who constructed a Carnot engine, and he is also known to be a father of thermodynamics. We can see now the parts of a Carnot engine. The first one is cylinder. A cylinder having perfectly conducting base, perfectly non-conducting side, and is fitted with perfectly non-conducting frictionless piston. Cylinder contains gas as working substance. Here you can see that the cylinder contains frictionless piston. The sides has non-conductive, means the sides of the cylinder does not conduct heat or energy or electricity, but the base of the cylinder conducts heat. The frictionless piston is used to work done by moving it up and down. The working substance may be a gas or vapor, but in this experiment we have taken a gas as a working substance. Then second part of a Carnot engine is source, where source is denoted by X. It is called as source of infinitely high heat capacity at a constant temperature T1, which means source has higher thermal capacity in such a way that there is no fall in its temperature. It maintains a constant temperature and is denoted by T1. The third part is sink. A cold body Y is called the sink of infinitely large heat capacity at a constant temperature T2. Here it is a cold body which has large thermal capacity such that there is no rise in its temperature. So it maintains constant temperature and is denoted by T2. And lastly, a stand, which acts as an insulator, a perfectly non-conducting stand, Z. It is denoted by Z. Here you can observe both sink, source and non-conducting stand. Here the hot reservoir is also called as source. Cold reservoir is also called as sink, where the non-conducting stand acts as an insulator where there is no conduction of heat takes place. Hot reservoir having high thermal capacity and such that there is no fall in its temperature and having a constant temperature T1. Cold reservoir has high thermal capacity such that there is no rise in its temperature and it is called as sink. So we learn about Carnot cycle. What is Carnot cycle? It's that a working substance gas is taken through a process which is cyclic and reversible, is nothing but a Carnot cycle. How the working substance can be done, how the work has been done by the working substance is taken through a process called as Carnot cycle, a Carnot cycle which is reversible and cyclic in nature. The Carnot cycle is reversible because it undergoes the repetition of four processes such as isothermal expansion, adiabatic expansion, isothermal compression and adiabatic compression. Before going to these four processes, we have to learn about isothermal process and adiabatic process. So what are those isothermal and adiabatic process? Isothermal process is nothing but we can guess it by knowing simple words. Iso is nothing but same, which means constant. Thermal is nothing but temperature. So the process which has been taken at a constant temperature is nothing but isothermal process. And adiabatic process is, it is a process where no transfer of heat takes place between the system and the surroundings of a thermodynamics. This is nothing but adiabatic process. So let's start. Before this, and we have to know about work done during isothermal process and work done during adiabatic process. The first one is work done during isothermal process. We know that at constant temperature the Boyle's law obeys, and the Boyle's law is given by PV is equals to nRT for n moles of gas. For 1 mole of gas, PV is equals to RT. The work done by the gas is equals to integration of V1 to V2, where the limits are V1 and V2, P into dV. So at constant temperature, the volume and pressure varies, but at isothermal process, the volume varies, hence it is integrated from the limits V1 to V2. Then we know that P is equals to RT, where PV is equals to RT, P is equals to RT by V. In the place of P, we have to substitute RT by V. Then we get RT into integral of V1 to V2, 1 by V dV. So integration of 1 by V dV is log V. By considering the limits, we get the work done by the gas on the piston. Work done by the gas is given by the RT log V2 by V1. It's work done during isothermal process. Now also we have to know about work done during adiabatic process. In adiabatic process, there is no change of heat takes place from system to surroundings, so that it obeys Boyle's law. Hence at adiabatic condition, we know that PV power gamma is constant, where gamma is a specific heat ratio, where specific heat ratio is nothing but ratio of heat capacity at constant pressure to heat capacity at constant volume. Here we observe heat capacity. What is heat capacity? Heat capacity is nothing but thermal capacity. Heat capacity at constant pressure, which means we have to increase a 1 degrees temperature of system by keeping pressure constant. Then we need an heat. So the required amount of heat which to increase 1 degree temperature of a system by keeping pressure constant is nothing but heat capacity at a constant pressure. Similarly, the required amount of heat to increase 1 degree temperature of a system by keeping volume as a constant, then it is nothing but heat capacity at a constant volume. So that from the equation P is equals to kV power minus gamma, we get the work done during adiabatic process is R by gamma minus 1 into T1 minus T2, where R is equals to Cp minus Cv, where Cp is specific heat of constant pressure and Cv is specific heat of constant volume. Then we have to go through a 4 process. The first one is isothermal expansion. So here you can observe that there are 2 pictures. Stage 1, where red dotted line structures gives that the gas particles which are heated. When the gas particles heated, the distance between each gas particles become increases. They start to vibrate in the cylinder. So when the cylinder is kept on the heat or source, the temperature increases, pressure increases. The gas particles which are present in the cylinder, those get internal energy and starts to vibrate in a cylinder, and the piston moves up. This is a first stage where the piston moves up. So we can observe here the piston moves up because, so we know that source is nothing is that having high large thermal capacity at a constant temperature, there is no fall in its temperature. So it has to be maintain a constant temperature. So the gas particles get an internal energy and the temperature of the gas particles increases. So to lose that temperature, the piston moves up. Hence, the isothermal expansion takes place, where the piston moves up and the expansion of gas particles takes place at a constant temperature is nothing but isothermal expansion. So then here you can know about expression for isothermal expansion. The cylinder is placed on source and is allowed to expand isothermally at T1 till the point P is reached. Here you can observe a graph is plotted against pressure and volume. Here A denotes the initial point at which the pressure and volume of the cylinder takes place. After, when the temperature of a gas particles present in the cylinder becomes a constant temperature at T1, the A is plotted a graph. The pressure decreases and volume increases. When the piston moves up, the volume of the gas particles increases, where we know that pressure and volume are inversely proportional, which means that if volume increases, pressure automatically decreases. So that when the piston moves up. In isothermal expansion, the pressure decreases and volume increases. So here you can see that during expansion, Q1 be the amount of heat absorbed by the gas. So when we keep a cylinder on the source, then the gas particles absorb the heat, that is Q1. So work done by the gas on piston is equals to Q1 is equals to W1. Let volume and pressure at initial and final stages of isothermal expansion are P1 V1 and P2 V2 at points A and B respectively. So work done by the gas Q1 W1 is equals to integration of V1 V2 P dV. So by the work done during isothermal process, we know that W is equals to RT log into V2 by V1. So the work done by the gas during isothermal expansion is given by W1 is equals to RT log V2 by V1, where T is T1 at constant temperature T1. So the above equation is given by work done during isothermal process. The next stage is adiabatic expansion. Here you can, after the expansion of piston takes place at isothermal expansion, we have to keep the cylinder on the insulating stand or a non-conducting stand, and then we can observe that the temperature decreases, which means the gas particle having internal energy somehow lost, and the volume decreases. The volume of the gas particle decreases, which means that during an adiabatic expansion, external work is done by the internal energy of the gas. Hence, the temperature falls down and no heat enters or leaves the system, so that the piston moves downwards, and at that time the temperature decreases and pressure decreases. Then we have to plot the graph against pressure and volume. Here you can see A and B points. It is a graph which is related to isothermal expansion. Then, so now we have to know about expression for adiabatic process. So expression for adiabatic expansion is the cylinder is placed on stand and gas is further allowed to expand adiabatically. So it expands. The piston which is moving it moves upwards, which is allowed to expand adiabatically. When temperature falls, the piston moves up because the gas particles present in the cylinder move a larger distance. The distance between two gas particles is somehow maximum when compared to the distance between the gas particles in isothermal expansion, so that it expand adiabatically along BC at the temperature T2, so that the temperature of the gas particles present in the cylinder at adiabatic expansion decreases. Then work done by the gas on the piston is given by W2 is equals to R by lambda minus gamma minus 1 into T1 minus T2. Consider this as equation 2, where the above equation is given by the work done during adiabatic process. Then the third stage, isothermal compression. So after that we have to keep the cylinder on the sink. Then we get on the sink. So according to the isothermal compression, we know that there is no means when we even we know that the sink at which it has a large thermal capacity, but there is no rise in its temperature. Hence, the piston moves downwards to remain or to remains at a constant temperature T2. We know that the sink is having a large high thermal capacity, but there is no fall in its temperature and it is at a constant temperature T2. Hence, the piston which is upward in the adiabatic expansion, after that in isothermal compression, the piston moves back or moves down to keep a temperature constant at T2. When the cylinder is kept on a sink, the gas particles become cool and becomes cool. We know that the temperature depends upon the internal energy or the internal energy of the gas particles, so that when the temperature of the gas particles decreases, it has to maintain a constant temperature T2, so that the temperature of the gas rises by compressing the piston downwards. Then we can note down that the temperature decreases and somehow the temperature increases, because we can see here the comparison that in adiabatic expansion somehow the temperature is decreased and pressure is also low, but in isothermal compression we can see the temperature increases as well as pressure. Here you can see the point B to C, that it's a curve of adiabatic expansion where the pressure decreases, which means volume increases, and volume is increased, pressure is decreased. In the case of isothermal compression, the temperature rises, which means pressure also increases, and then volume should be decreased. So here we can observe here in this graph that the CD is a curve which represents isothermal compression. Now we have to know about expression for isothermal compression, where cylinder is placed on sink and gas is compressed isothermally at a constant temperature T2 of the sink till point D is reached. During this compression of the gas, Q2 be the amount of heat and is developed, it will be given to sink. Now Q2 is equivalent to W3. Work done by the piston on gas is W3. Let P4 V4 be the state at the point D. Work done on the gas by the piston is given by Q2 is equals to W2 into RT2 log V3 by V4. This equation is from the work done during isothermal process. Then the stage 4, adiabatic compression. Here you can observe that the ideal gas particles are at normal temperature. So no heat exchange occurs at this stage. When we kept a cylinder on the stand after removal from the sink, however, the surrounding continue to do work on the system, adiabatic compression occurs, which rises the temperature of the system as well as the location of the piston back to its original stage. And during compression, the internal energy of a gas, when we have to compress or when we have work done on the piston by compressing it, the internal energy of the gas increases, hence the temperature rises, so that there is no heat rejected to the surroundings and it maintains a constant temperature T2. At that time we can see that the temperature increases and the pressure also increases. So here we can observe the total graph or total cyclic graph where the two isothermal process takes place and two adiabatic process takes place. The Q1 is a amount of heat absorbed by the gas particles when the cylinder is kept on the source, and Q2 is the amount of heat absorbed by the gas particles when the cylinder is kept on a sink. T1 is the temperature of the source, which is a constant temperature of the source. T2 is the constant temperature of a sink. Here at point A, P1 V1, where P1 is the pressure and V1 is the volume at isothermal process. During isothermal expansion, the internal energy, so that the temperature of the gas decreases, so to maintain a temperature constant, so that the pressure decreases, volume increases. In adiabatic expansion, the pressure decreases and volume increases. So during expansion we have to note down that during expansion the pressure decreases and the volume increases, and during compression we have to note down that the pressure increases and volume decreases. So that here you can observe that during isothermal compression the pressure increases from P3 to P4 and volume decreases from V3 to V4, and that during adiabatic compression the gas particles comes to its original position, the piston moves down to its original position. It is a cyclic process which is called as a Carnot cycle, where the graph is plotted against pressure and volume, pressure along y-axis and volume along x-axis. So here you can observe that expression for adiabatic compression. So finally we know that cylinder is placed on insulating stand. The further gas is compressed adiabatically till it reaches a constant temperature T1 of the source, because it comes back to its original position. Now gas is in the state of P1 and V1, which is an initial state of a cycle or a process. This is represented by curve dA. The work done by the gas is given by W4 is equals to integral of V1 V2 PdV is equals to R by gamma minus 1 into T1 minus T2. So where equation 2 and 4 are equal. The equation 4 is given by work done during adiabatic compression. So the net work done by the gas is given by W1 plus W2 minus W3 minus W4, where expansion minus compression, which gives Q1 minus Q2. We have to now look down for the efficiency of an engine. We know that all the engines have not 100% efficient. Hence, now we have to know about the Carnot engine having 100% efficient or not. So here we have to note down the efficiency of engine by calculating eta is equals to output work by input work, where output work is Q1 minus Q2 and input work is Q1. So by solving we get eta is equals to 1 minus Q2 divided by Q1. Consider this as equation 5. So from 1 and 3, Q1 by Q2 is equals to T1 log V2 by V3 divided by T2 log V3 by V4, where B and C lies on same adiabatic curve. B and C are the points which lies on the same adiabatic curve. Then we get T1 by T2 is equals to V3 by V2 whole power gamma minus 1. So then similarly from the points D and A, which lies on a same adiabatic curve, we get T1 by T2 is equals to V4 by V1 into gamma minus 1. So, by considering above two equations, we come to know that V3 by V2 is equals to V4 by V1, or V2 by V1 is equals to V3 by V4. So that equation 6 becomes Q1 by Q2 is equals to T1 by T2. Therefore, eta is equals to T1 minus T2 by T1. Thus, the efficiency of any engine depends upon the temperature of source and sink. So, we have to know that if any engine must have 100% efficient, then the temperature of the sink must be 0. But here we can know that the temperature of source and sink are at constant, where the temperature of sink is not 0. Hence, the efficiency of an Carnot engine does not 100% because the heat is rejected to maintain a constant temperature. If T2 is 0, then efficiency of the engine is maximum, that is 100%. No heat is rejected to sink, and entire amount of heat Q1 is converted into mechanical work, which is impossible. So from this we can know that without loss of heat, there is no conversion of heat into a mechanical work, which is possible, which means that it is impossible to convert all amount of heat into a work, which means the engine does not have 100% efficiency. This is a total topic related to a Carnot engine. So, if you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment box. This is Nagasahana, Department of Physics, Dudupudi Women's Degree College, Sindanur. Thank you.